The Big Daddy football family, welcome once again to this post-match tactical analysis for the game between Orlando Pirates and CR Belouizdad. It's the fifth match of Group C of the CAF Champions League. Igame edlalwe esigodini sikaMamizela, where Orlando Pirates won that match 2-1, goals from Rele and goals from another goal from Umbata. And Orlando Pirates are through into the knockout stages of this particular competition. Congratulations to the biggest institution in South Africa, which is Orlando Pirates, for actually being able to actually win this particular match. But maybe also as a celebration from my side, is I just want to look at a clip of the video that I did, a pre-match tactical analysis, where I explained CR Belouizdad's biggest weakness, their inability to defend the red zone. I just want to go then look at the two goals that they actually scored and look at how Orlando Pirates exploited the red zone with those two goals that were scored in this particular match.
That's one that could cause injury. Now, good defending on the left-hand side from Haddad, but the chance for Pirates here, and the goal is scored.
Situation where it will seem impossible for Belouizdad to maybe.
Maswanganyi, surely now. Mbata! Oh, lovely!
Sure, Bafethu. So, can you see then the red zone that I was referring to, where Umabasa got the ball? I think the pass that was meant to go to that particular player, I think it was a missed pass, and then it went to Mabasa. But the island existed in front of the back four. Again, the second goal from Umbata. The island again existed again, where they allowed him space to be able to push the ball and actually take a shot from the same zone that I was talking about. Also, beside the goal, Buffett, there was another Tito moment where he dilly-dallied instead of taking a shot. Again, in the same area, Buffett. Same red zone. So, Orlando Pirates could have easily scored 3 goals into that match just by that analysis that I did in this particular match, which I also think that, that I'm sure of, that also the Orlando Pirates team, especially the technical analysis team, were able to see that. So, but what I also wanted to point out, maybe some other observation. First of all, I was very, very impressed about CR Belouizdad high pressing schemes, as well as the triggers of their press. I think they frustrated Orlando Pirates in this particular match. I think they really, really watched Orlando Pirates and they planned for Orlando Pirates in this particular match. What was interesting with me, right, was the two players, right, that were pressing first. That were pressing one, they were pressing the ball carrier, and then they were pressing the next player that is going to actually receive the ball, right? And then also behind them, there was also another 2 players. So they were pressing with the box. The other box were pressing the central midfielders, because what CR Belouizdad didn't want in this game was actually balls played in midfield. They did not want Orlando Pirates to penetrate that central midfield. And they wanted to press us in such a way that we could not play through, because even the second line of press as well was also to limit us from playing balls into the middle. So for me, there was a very, very interesting technique in this particular game. But the pressing triggers were also very interesting, because any pass into midfield, the second line were jumping on the press, forcing the central midfielders to then pass the ball back, or at least pass sideways. And should they have tried to turn, they could have lost a lot of balls in that. That's why in the first half, in my first half analysis, that we did on the TTB show, at halftime, I said the midfield cannot play. And it was due to that box shape press in that particular game. Then also the other press was any pass to the goalkeeper. Ushaina was aggressively pressed. I think for the first time, he built that game in Orlando Pirates was pop. Ushaina in this particular game was rushed, and he had to play balls quicker. And in that regard, he ended up playing, he had a lot of missed passes in this particular match. A lot of missed passes. The other interesting element was them allowing Sibisi to have the ball more. So Sibisi was not pressed. Whenever he had the ball, because there are two ways of pressing Sibisi, in my view, or planning for Sibisi weaknesses, because he is a right-footed player playing as left center back, right? So possibly one will say you press him on his strongest foot, so that you get him to force to play with his left foot, which is not his strongest. And when they opted to give him time, give him space to have the ball and do whatever that he liked. And I think there was a mistake from CR Belouizdad, because them allowing to have the ball, I think for me, Sibisi was impressive. For me in this particular match, besides Tiano, who I think played brilliantly, I think for me, Sibisi in this particular match, I think for me it was my man of the match. Because if you go again, you look at the stats, he had the most, I mean, even before we look at the stats, if you look at Sibisi's game, I think I saw line-breaking passes in this part, because he had all the time. I saw diagonal passes. I saw vertical passes from him. Even though I think at times, he needs to improve in his passing, because some of his long balls, sometimes the pass was just too hard in this particular instance, and I think if he can perfect that type of passes that he makes, he could be an incredible player in this particular game. Go and look at the stats of the match. He had the most passing success in the entire 22 players, the most accurate long balls, the most accurate forward zone passes. And I honestly, guys, I want to give Sesane his flowers, because ever since Alisanda was injured, we're not talking about Unda, because of the work that I keep on saying Nkosinathi Sibisi has done, Bafethu. I think he is incredible. Sibisi, incredible, Bafethu. He is one of the most improved center backs at Orlando Pirates. I think Jose has done extremely well, because there's certain elements of his game that he has improved on, and one of them is the ball playing ability. Because when he came in, Nkosinathi Sibisi was like in the old-fashioned number 4, the one who was going to be the marker, the dirty player doing the dirty work. He's the one that's a physical. He's the soldier that's willing to mark. He's the number 4. He's more physical than he was into his passing game. But guys, oh man, I think he has greatly improved. For me, big ups to Nkosinathi Sibisi. Then the other thing that I also noticed in this particular game was special attention that was given to Rele. I think they did not want to really to have the ball. Whenever he had the ball, you always had two players or even three players around him, because they did not want him to play. But the intelligence of that boy, guys, it was incredible. Then the other thing that I also noticed was Mohau Nkota. I think he experienced, Bafethu, of him having played DDC last season. It's showing in the league, and it's showing clearly in the Champions League, because for me, he's an extremely, extremely wonderful player. His talent is pure raw. Also he's got that double profile where he's a player as a winger. He can cut in the middle and also play as a number 10. But for me, his decision making at times, is a problem. And I think the way he beats most of these young players, it's his decision making. He knows exactly when to hold on to the ball, when to release, when to take on a player. And I think in this particular game, I think Nkota was caught a lot of times where he wanted to run with the ball. And then he was creating those 1v1 physical battles with the opposition. And those guys are big. Those boys are strong from Belouizdad, and they were always winning the ball. And in some instances, when he needed to take a shot, he's passing. Where he needs to pass, he's shooting. And I think if he can improve that aspect of his game, I think he could be an incredible player. But in this particular game, for the first time in a long time, Orlando Pirates were forced to play long balls. They were forced to play long balls. But I think also, if Orlando Pirates could improve, especially our centre back, as much as China was pressed aggressively, to try and play quality of those passes into the diagonal balls, into the wingers, and those accurate vertical passes into our forward players. If we could perfect that pass and actually played long pass. In this particular match, I think if we have played more of those quality passes, we could have punished this team more in this instance, especially because North Africans specifically, their defenders, they don't like turning back and facing their goalkeeper, and actually running towards them. And if we could get those balls over that line and make those runs, I think we can beat this North Africans team, even though sometimes they try by all means to squeeze the space between the last line as well as the goalkeeper. For me, I would say congratulations to Orlando Pirates. I honestly think Orlando Pirates have a good chance of making it far in this Champions League. Why? Because they've got that element of surprise. The North Africans are not used to playing against a team like Orlando Pirates the way they come to play. So for me, I would say Orlando Pirates must not change how they play. Those surprise elements that they have playing those raw, pure Kasi football, because they don't, there are things that North Africans don't like. One is what Sundowns were doing when they were keeping the ball and making them run around looking for the ball. They don't like that. They also don't like quick players, pacey players, dribbling wizard, nippy players that's going to take them on. They hate that. Also, then defending facing their goalpost, they also hate it. As well as playing in the heat, playing in a high tempo in the heat, in a high intensity, at a high pace, like how Orlando Pirates play, they hate it. And I'm saying, if Orlando Pirates could do that more and don't lose it, they have every chance of making it into Champions League. Please kindly comment on this video and tell me anything that I've missed in this particular analysis. Awe bafethu.